Right, people, welcome back to our next topic. We're going to be covering quadratics. Now, these are fairly simple. Want to get your head wrapped around them, but people seem to be scared of them for some reason. They're not too bad. They can get certainly quite hard, but at the low levels, like your 4, 5, 6, they're fairly easy to do. So there's a few ways they could ask you to do this. They could either ask you to factorize it, which we're going to do in a second. You could ask you to use the quadratic formula, or just ask you to solve it. Now, yes, so again with triangles, sorry, let's start off with factorizing, shall we? So the way the quadratic works is we're trying to find two numbers which times together to make this number, also known as C, which also add together to make this number 5. So if we do the factors of 6, there aren't many. So 6, we have got 6 and 1 and 3 and 2. Now if we look at these pairs of numbers here, of our 6 and 1 and 3 and 2, which two numbers add together to make 5? 6 add 1 equals 7, which is not 5. Although 3 add 2 equals 5, which is here. So we know in our answer we will have a 3 and a 2 in there somewhere. Now with quadratics, it is always what do you call it? 2 brackets when you solve it. On some occasions it's 1, but no, sorry, what am I talking about? It's always 2. The way you can identify a quadratic, mainly most of the time, is this something squared plus something x plus integer equals 0. Now, factorising, I presume you know how to factorise if we looked at some of the previous videos I put out. But if you don't, we do our double brackets here. And as both of our numbers here are positive integers, we know it's just going to be 2 pluses. So if we put 1 here and 1 here. Now, what two things times together to make x squared? We know that will be x and x. So in both of our brackets here at the start, we put x here and x here. Now, we've got half of the bracket done, but we've already got our other two numbers down here due to doing the factors of 6. So if we put these in here, 3 and 2, it doesn't matter which order they go in, just as long as they go in here. So then if we expand this out, x times x is x squared, x times 2 plus 2x, 3 times x plus 3x, and 5 times 2 plus 6. And then if we simplify this all down, we have x squared plus 5x plus 6, which is the same as our question up here. Now we have factorised it all, but that is typically not the end of the question. It will ask us to solve the question. Not to fret if we know simple balancing methods. This shouldn't be too complicated. So if we just quickly rub this out here. Now, the entire equation is equal to 0. Due to that, we don't know which of these brackets actually equals 0. So our thing will be here, x plus 3 equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0. Now, if we do simple balancing method, we take 3, so x equals minus 3, and over here, x equals minus 2. Now, our two answers here will be x equal minus 3 and x equals minus 2. If you're doing this correctly, and it is double brackets, it should always give you two numbers when you solve it. So just to reiterate, what you do is you find two factors which times together to make this number, the integer, and add together to make the coefficient of the x. And then you put that all into a bracket, and then with this bracket you do x plus 3 equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0, and then you do the balancing method, which if you don't know, I'll post a video soon on how to do it. And that gives us two numbers, which is our answer. Now if we put these up here, we'll move on. Now, if we stick with the same question, we we have been given of x squared plus 5x plus 6, and we use the quadratic formula. Sometimes in the exam, if they don't specify which to use, you can either use both or the other one I'm going to show you, which is completing the square. Both, all three are quite easy, but sometimes they specify. Factorising, I've done a few times in past papers. I've been asked to use the formula a few times. Luckily, if you're doing OCR, I'm not sure about the other exam boards, but OCR, they give you the quadratic formula on the sheet, equation sheet, so you don't have to remember it, just you know how to use it. Now, if we link it back to triangles and Pythagoras, trigonometry, we will always start with labelling. So the something squared is always a, and the coefficient of x is always b, and our integer is always c. Now, if we look back into our formula, hopefully we should be able to easily apply this in. If we don't know, I'll walk you through. So minus 5. Oh, let me dry that. Minus 5. Start off with plus the square root of b squared, so 5 squared, and then put that into a bracket. Take away 4, times that by a, which is 1, times that by c, which is 6, and then all over 2 times 1. Now, if we put this onto our calculator, assuming everything is correct, we should be given one of the two answers we have gotten previously. Take 4 times 1 times 6 all over 2. Now, if we look here, here's proof. If you can see that, that equals minus 2. Which equals minus 2, which is our first or the second answer. But if you look here, it is plus or minus, and we've only got one answer here at the moment, but we do need 2. So in order to combat this, what we do is we get rid of the plus, and then we replace it with a minus. Rather than rewriting it all out on a calculator, just change it quite easily, which gives us minus 3. Just get rid of that, minus 3, which again is our second answer up here. So the quadratic formula and factorising both give us